Right, so this is the ratio and graphs anchor chart, and I just want to remind you that a ratio is a comparison of two quantities using division, okay? And for today's example, I'm actually going with bicycles. Okay, so I'm going to do my very best to draw some sort of bicycle-like thing here on the side. Okay, so there's a bicycle seat, and there's another bicycle wheel, and there's a bicycle pedal. Okay, so you feel free to draw your own. So if I am comparing wheels to bikes, okay, then I think it's pretty obvious that I would say there are two wheels for every one bike. Okay, that's a ratio. Okay, I could also say that it's 2 to 1, and I could also use it like it's a fraction, 2 over 1. Okay. When we learned to write equations for graphs, we learned that you can have an additive or a multiplicative relationship. Okay? If it's additive, it has the formula y equals x plus a, and if it's multiplicative, it has the formula y equals ax. Okay? So now I want you to just think about it. If ratios are comparing things with division, is that going to go with additive or multiplicative? Division goes with which of these? And the answer is multiplicative. Okay? Because multiplying like multiplying by 1/2, for example, is the same as dividing by 2. Okay, so when we're doing graphs and ratios, we're not really looking at additive relationships, we're looking at multiplicative. So now, let's think about this with the bicycles. Okay, so if I was going to do that formula, y equals ax, okay, I'd need to ask myself, what am I really looking for? Am I looking for the number of bikes or the number of wheels? Okay, and if you think about this first bike, I have one bike and 2 wheels, and if I have 2 bikes, I have 4 wheels, and in general, what I count is the bikes, right? So you would usually ask how many wheels on 4 bikes, instead of, it's a little awkward to ask, how many bikes would you have if you counted 18 wheels? Okay. So you want to say that the number of bikes, okay, times 2 equals the number of wheels. Okay. And so you would say 2b equals w, right? 2 times the number of bikes equals the number of wheels. Okay, but I've got to make it look like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is just switch it around so that it's w equals 2b. Okay, so I've just switched it. Okay, now instead of wheels and bikes, which I liked that because it went with my words, I'm going to just say that I'm using y for the wheels and x for the bikes. So y equals 2x. Okay. Once I have it like this, I can graph it, okay? And the way I'm going to graph it is by first making a table, okay? And, you know, in years past, you've made tables like this before, where you've had the number of bikes, and then the number of wheels, okay? And then you've written numbers like, you know, 0 bikes, 0 wheels, 1 bike, 2 wheels, 2 bikes, 4 wheels, 3 bikes, 6 wheels, and so forth and so on. Okay. The only thing that's different now is instead of putting bikes and wheels here, I'm putting X and Y. Okay. And once I've got that X and Y, then these become coordinates. Okay. And now I have a whole bunch of coordinates that I can graph. Okay. And so now I'm going to make myself a really simple graph, and I'm just going to do the first quadrant because this is a real world example and I can't have negative bikes. So I'm just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. And then I just go through and I'm graphing. Okay. So my first point was 0, 0. So 0, 0. Okay. And then 1, 2. So 1 on the x-axis, 2 on the y-axis, 2, 4, 2, 4, 3, 6. Okay. Just make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Okay. And then 4, 8. Okay. And now I've got, and I didn't actually use graph paper, so my line's a little wonky. And I actually don't want it to go less than that 0. So that part right there is kind of a mistake because, again, you can't have negative bikes. Okay. But this right here is a graph of the line y equals 2x. So the ratio, the 2 to 1, okay, kind of became a table and then coordinates. And I think if you kind of look at this, if you think about this as, you know, bikes compared to wheels, okay, 1 for 2 equals 2 over 4, right? Like that right there, okay? And there's where you see the ratio, okay? So it's just a way that all of the stuff that you've been learning is just really interconnected, and you can use ratios with multiplicative formulas to create graphs.